Today's news highlights 20250715. Date July 15, 2025. July 15, 114, Republic of China. Time cutoff time, 1500 hours on the same day. News highlights: singer Lin Junjia admitted frankly at a concert in Beijing on July 13 that he had been diagnosed with heart disease last year and is currently controlled by drugs, and the news shocked the whole network. Although the specific cause was not disclosed, doctors speculated that it might be arrhythmia, and reminded people over 40 years of age, with 3 highs, or a family history of self-monitoring of heartbeat and blood pressure. Modern wearable devices and new drugs can help in early detection and treatment to prevent stroke or sudden death caused by abnormal heart rhythms. Lin Junjia said that he will continue to work hard to convey power through music. News highlights: on July 11, the Legislative Yuan passed the third reading of the case of 10,000 yuan in cash for the general public, but the actual operation has not yet begun, and fraudulent text messages have been circulating, pretending to be official names to trick people into clicking on links and filling in personal information. The Criminal Bureau reminds, at present, the application and issuance method have not been announced. Please do not click on unknown links and provide personal information to avoid falling into the trap of fraud. The public should be vigilant and abide by the 5 principles of fraud prevention to prevent financial losses. News highlights: dietitian Xue Xiaojing pointed out that after the age of 50, special attention should be paid to macular degeneration, and studies have confirmed that the lutein, zeaxanthin, and omega-3 rich in the Mediterranean diet can delay vision deterioration and improve retinal function. Eye-friendly ingredients such as salmon, carrots, and spinach have antioxidant and optic nerve protection effects. Experts recommend taking eye care nutrients from 3 meals a day, and emphasize that young people should also pay attention to eye care as early as possible and develop good eye care habits through diet. News highlights: when you feel thirsty, your body is already dehydrated. Experts recommend that you should take the initiative to hydrate regularly and avoid waiting until you are thirsty. The daily water intake can be calculated as body weight times 30 ml, and adjusted according to the climate and exercise level. Plain water is ideal, and beverages and sugary drinks should not be replaced. Darker urine indicates a lack of water. Drink water to avoid dehydration or low blood sodium. Elderly and chronically ill patients should drink water as prescribed. Drinking small amounts of water in portions can help with metabolism, detoxification, and overall health. News highlights: studies have shown that a large amount of microplastics are released during the brewing process of filter and capsule coffee, and more than 50,000 microplastics may be ingested every day, increasing health risks. Microplastics can enter the body through respiration and digestion, causing inflammation, cardiovascular diseases, and affecting reproduction. Experts recommend switching to plastic-free filter paper, glass, or stainless steel utensils for coffee brewing, and avoiding plastic cups and paper cups lined with adhesive film to reduce the intake of microplastics and protect health and the environment. News highlights: Li Yujun relies on word solitaire super jogging to improve sleep, which combines exercise and language training, which can not only help improve sleep quality, but also improve blood sugar and prevent dementia. Doctors recommend ultra jogging by sitting or standing with word solitaire, which can help activate the brain, improve memory and vocabulary skills, especially for middle-aged and elderly people to perform easily at home. News highlights: a fire broke out at the Sanyuan Energy Technology lithium battery factory under Kaohsiung Xiaogang Taiwan Cement in the early morning of the 14th, injuring 12 employees and 3 firefighters. At one point, the fire spread to the manufacturing area, fearing the release of toxic gases such as hydrofluoric acid. Although the EPA detected that there was no contamination outside the plant, the city government still issued a warning and expanded the warning area. Mayor Chen Kamai demanded a shutdown and fines, and legislators criticized the manufacturer's improper management and lack of adequate communication with the local government. Taiwan Cement Corporation said that the fire occurred in the semi-finished product warehouse, and the insurance has been insured and the response mechanism has been activated, and the Nank plant will support part of the shipment. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump said on July 14 that if the war in Ukraine cannot be ended in the next 50 days, he will impose secondary tariffs of up to 100% on Russia, and may impose tariffs or sanctions on countries that trade with Russia. At the same time, the United States will provide Ukraine with military support, including the Patriot missile defense system, and the relevant weapons will be purchased at NATO's expense. This policy is aimed at tightening sanctions against Russia and urging Putin to end the war, and the U.S. side stressed that it will not increase the financial burden. Congress is also considering passing a bill to impose higher tariffs on countries that trade with Russia. News highlights: in the summer of 2025, Texas was hit by historic floods and torrential rains, killing at least 129 people and leaving hundreds missing, and the authorities issued a red alert and prepared to evacuate 50,000 residents. Heavy rains on the Rongjiang River in southern China's Guizhou province caused severe flooding, displacing more than 40,000 people and killing at least 6 people. Typhoon Danas hit Zhejiang, and hail appeared in Xiamen for the first time. Many parts of Europe were hit by a heat wave, with 2,300 people dying from heat, and Portugal recorded an extreme of 46.6 degrees in June. The east coast of the United States also had record-breaking temperatures, affecting more than 160 million people. Extreme weather occurs frequently around the world, and experts say that climate change will exacerbate disasters. News highlights: when an air raid siren sounds, people should quickly seek a safe place to take refuge. If you are in an open area, please go to shelters such as culverts, tunnels or bridge piers as soon as possible and take a protective posture. People outdoors should take refuge in the nearest building. Medical institutions, transportation hubs, shopping malls, schools, religious sites, and institutions must suspend activities to help people evacuate in an orderly manner. Vehicles should pull over, passengers get out of the car to take refuge. High-speed rail, MRT, and other means of transportation are operating normally, but passengers must lower their heads to protect their heads. Those who violate the regulations of the exercise may be fined 30,000 to 150,000 yuan according to the civil defense law. News highlights: according to a UBS report, the average wealth of Taiwanese adults reached 9.11 million yuan, ranking 15th in the world. According to the latest data from the Ministry of Finance, the number of million miles in Kaohsiung and Taichung continues to increase, especially in Kaohsiung's Nanzi Lanshan Lane has become an emerging technology-rich area due to TSMC's factory, and housing prices have risen by nearly 14%. In addition, the wealthy population in local business districts such as Yanshan Nanli has increased, and Taichung Shailujernli has also become a hot area due to convenient transportation. Wealth concentration and diversified wealth paths promote a new pattern of housing market and urban development in southern China. News highlights: with the rapid development of AI, layoffs at Amazon and Microsoft have sparked anxiety about jobs being replaced. Experts are divided, with some arguing that entry-level white-collar workers are most likely to be replaced by AI because their jobs are simpler, while others believe that senior employees are more at risk because they stick to traditional processes. Research shows that AI has significantly improved the efficiency of junior engineers, but mid-level positions are gradually disappearing, and companies tend to retain a small number of senior employees to supervise them, and most newcomers cooperate with AI to complete their work. In the future, the structure of the workplace will change profoundly, and both fresh and experienced employees will face challenges, and the government and education system will need to adjust to respond. News highlights: on the 14th, the National Security Fund decided to continue to implement disk protection in the market, mainly due to the uncertainty of equivalent tariffs and the semi-annual reports to be released by listed companies, which will reveal the impact of foreign exchange losses caused by the strong rise of the new Taiwan dollar and increase market variables. The focus of the National Security Fund is mostly heavyweight technology weight stocks, such as TSMC, Honhai, Mediatek, etc., and the exchange loss of these stocks will directly affect the trend of the index. Taking the serious foreign exchange loss of Li Guang in the second quarter as an example, the legal person emphasized that the impact of foreign exchange loss cannot be ignored, and the continuous protection of the Goan Fund will help stabilize investment confidence. In the recent turmoil in Taiwan stocks, Goan Fund slightly bought more than many index stocks, successfully reinforcing the decline, highlighting its role in protecting the DISC. News highlights: Taiwan's new ventures are actively deploying in the international market in order to achieve scale, but there are many challenges. According to the 2025 Taiwan New Startup Overseas Survey, 57% of the new ventures have expanded overseas, but most of the overseas revenue is still low, showing that it is not easy to go overseas. Venture capitalists generally value the US market due to its scale and technological potential, but new startups often lack a complete market research and localization strategy. Cross-cultural communication skills are considered key, and foreign language skills alone are not enough. Taiwanese entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley are mostly second-generation immigrants and lack mature mutual aid communities, and programs such as Startup Island Taiwan are helping to build support networks. Experts emphasized that new startups should plan diversified overseas markets from an early stage, enhance their international competitiveness and continue to adjust their strategies in order to gain a firm foothold on the global stage. News highlights: Lin Jiangxuan, general manager of Wistron, said that although the US tariff policy is not yet clear, the demand for Wistron's AI orders is still strong, which is a rigid demand and will not be affected. The company has production bases in many places around the world, which can flexibly respond to risks, and the new plant in Texas, USA, is expected to be mass-produced in 2026. Tariffs have an impact on the overall economy, but the demand for AI servers continues to grow, and mature products such as laptops and mobile phones are greatly affected. At the same time, Wistron has started the construction of the Niahu R&D building, which will be completed in 2028 and will become an AI technology R&D and innovation base. News highlights: TSMC will hold a legal conference this Thursday, 17th. Morgan Stanley pointed out that benefiting from strong AI demand, TSMC's revenue outlook for 2025 is expected to be raised, and market expectations are low, so it is recommended to lay out in advance. Analyst Zhang Jiahong maintained TSMC's outperform rating and target price of 1,288 yuan, and pointed out that based on the estimated net profit per share in 2026, the price-to-earnings ratio is only 17 times, which is attractive. If the revenue is raised, the stock price is expected to rise. News highlights: Robert Kiyosaki, author of the best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, reminded on the 14th that he should not chase high Bitcoin, otherwise he may become a leak in the crash. He noted that Bitcoin broke through $120,000 is good news for holders, but it is a risk for newbies, so it is recommended to enter with a small amount and with caution. Clear comparing investing to a pig and the greedy are easy to be slaughtered. He will only buy one more Bitcoin, and mentioned that Buffett holds a lot of cash and waits for the market to crash before buying. Investors are urged to remain sensible, patient, and vigilant to avoid losses. News highlights: Pangasius, which was originally suspected of being polluted and rumored to be dialyzed if eaten, has now bucked the trend due to climate change and reduced cod production, and has become a rising star in the global aquatic market. Not only did imports from the US grow by nearly 30%, but Japan also included them in the sushi table due to its low price and stable supply. Experts pointed out that Pangasius is mostly farmed in clean tributaries of the Mekong River, and both Taiwan and Japan have strict inspections. From misunderstanding to counterattack, Pangasius is rewriting the map of human diet and becoming the new favorite of the white meat fish market with a high CP value. News highlights: Chilin Electric is actively promoting the layout of green energy, and it is expected that the capacity of rooftop solar installations will reach 6.2 MW by 2030, the proportion of green electricity use will increase to 15%, and the revenue proportion of green energy products will reach 30%. By the end of 2024, 102% of solar energy has been built, and 608 renewable energy certificates, TRECs, have been obtained, with a target of 1,000 to participate in the carbon trading market. Shidian integrates the Green Giant Energy brand to develop applications such as solar energy, wind energy, and energy storage, and continues to build a low-carbon and sustainable energy foundation. News highlights: in the face of Taiwan's imminent entry into a super-aging society in 2025, National Chung Cheng University has promoted two major programs, Creating a Happy Life for the Elderly and Third Life University, combining medical, legal and educational resources to enhance the protection of human rights and learning opportunities for the elderly. To create an age-friendly environment through human rights clinics, social prescription, legal advice, and all-age CO learning, it also led 38 schools to pilot the Third Life University to provide flexible learning and employment transition channels, and to practice a sustainable society with the integration of the elderly and the active aging. News highlights: global e-waste has skyrocketed, reaching 62 million tons in 2022 and is expected to exceed 82 million tons in 2030. To combat the use it or lose culture, British designers and Start UPS have developed self-reparable kettles and laptops to promote simple and safe DIY repairs. The EU has also legislated to protect the right to repair and encourage consumers to choose repairs to reduce waste. Although Taiwan has not yet enacted legislation, the private sector has regularly held home appliance maintenance activities, so that 70% of bad household appliances have been successfully reborn, and the concept of sustainable use has been promoted. News highlights: Shi Jingzhong, a famous doctor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at National Taiwan University, recently shared on Facebook that he had received a line scam, and the other party said, "Are you busy?" At the beginning, he immediately asked for a loan of 50,000 yuan. Dr. Shi humorously responded, "The owner of this line has too much money to spend," and advised the other party to stop hurting people, and the conversation was immediately interrupted. Netizens praised the wit and skill. 165 Anti-fraud reminder: 3 ways to prevent fraud. Ask a few more questions, call directly to confirm, and adjust line privacy settings to avoid being deceived. News highlights: numerology: Zhang Weizhong was complained by customers that he did not bring a compass to see feng shui, and he went to the toilet first and said that it was lucky urine, and he couldn't see it for 10 minutes to sell expensive lucky ornaments, which was suspected of taking the opportunity to sell goods. Zhang Weizhong responded that good luck urine is a joke, and he doesn't necessarily need a compass to see feng shui, and he is willing to visit the service for free, and the product recommendation fully respects the customer and can be returned within half a year. News highlights: the Yulan Jiaoxi Jinch Aquaculture Center was recently exposed by the public that a man grabbed the shark's dorsal fin for fun, causing the shark to struggle violently. The Yulan Animal and Plant Epidemic Prevention Institute said that the shark was not injured, but warned that if such actions cause harm to animals, it may violate the animal protection law, and can be fined between 15,000 and 75,000 yuan. The operator stressed that there are warning signs and will step up inspections in the future. News highlights: actress Lu Yura and her star husband Hu Kaixiang were ready to welcome the arrival of their daughter Little Peanut, but they suffered the grief of their cat Moa's sudden death due to acute pulmonary edema. Lu Yura posted a message in the early morning to Miss Moa, thank it for its companionship and protection, and pray that the cat can jump in line and reincarnate and return to his family as soon as possible. She revealed that she faced difficulties such as pregnancy diabetes and high blood pressure during pregnancy, but she still worked hard to control her health, and felt extremely reluctant to leave Moa, and netizens also sent condolences and reminded her to take care of her body. News highlights: the weather tends to be unstable this week, due to the formation of a large low-pressure belt in the eastern sea of the Philippines, it is expected that a tropical system may move north to approach Taiwan from Friday, 18th, and may even become Taiwan, resulting in more rain across Taiwan over the weekend, 19th and 20th, especially severe in the east and south. Experts say that there is a high probability that this tropical system will pass through the Bass Strait, but it remains to be seen whether it will invade Taiwan, depending on the position of the system and the interaction of the pressure zone. It is recommended to continue to pay attention to the latest forecast and pay attention to the significant increase in rain in the south and east from the weekend. News highlights: Taiwanese pool star Zhang Ronglin died of a myocardial infarction in Jakarta, Indonesia on the 14th at the age of 40, shocking the sports world. Zhang Ronglin, who once ranked number 1 in the world pool rankings in 2021, felt unwell after the first game of the game that day, and returned to the hotel to rest but suddenly fell ill and was sent to the hospital for treatment. Experts remind that the symptoms of myocardial infarction include chest tightness, dyspnea, and radiating pain, and patients should rest and seek medical attention immediately. As some patients have no obvious symptoms, it is recommended that high-risk groups have regular health check UPS, maintain good lifestyle habits, be alert to the risk of cardiovascular disease, and avoid regrets. News highlights: in order to cooperate with the Taiwan Army's Han Kuang No. 40 live exercise, from 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. on the 15th, the 2025 Urban Resilience, Air Defense, exercise will be carried out in Mili, Taichung, Zhonghua, and Nantou counties and cities, including alarm issuance, evacuation and refuge, and traffic control. The Ministry of Defense reminds the public and vehicles to stay calm, obey traffic rules and cooperate with the police and civil defense personnel when they hear the air raid siren, and offenders will be fined between $30,000 and $150,000 in accordance with the civil defense law. All organs, schools, and the public must cooperate with the exercise to ensure the smooth conduct of air defense operations. News highlights: on the 15th, the Legislative Yuan passed the third reading of Article 53 of the Law on the Protection of the Rights and Interests of the Physically and Mentally Handicapped, officially changing the name of the public transport fraternity seat to priority seat, and the applicable object was adjusted from the elderly, weak women and children to other people with actual needs, and stipulated that the proportion of priority seats shall not be less than 15% of the total number of seats. The purpose of this amendment is to reduce the controversy over the use of fraternity and emphasize the need for respect. In addition, the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Health and Welfare are required to unify the priority seat signs, and promote diversified advocacy to promote social comedy and empathy. News highlights: under the influence of Trump's reciprocal tariff policy, nearly 30,000 imported cars parked in Taipei port have not been mentioned for a long time, and car owners have adopted a wait-and-see attitude. Experts point out that sun exposure may damage the interior of the car, and the sea breeze is also easy to accelerate the rust of the body, but the impact of short-term parking is limited. The lack of results in tariff negotiations has left the car market sluggish, and even if the tariff is cut in the future, the price concession is limited, and consumers are faced with the dilemma of whether to continue to wait or deliver the car early. News highlights: young people may also suffer from type 2 diabetes, especially those with obesity, genetics, and unhealthy lifestyle habits. Endocrinologist Zhou Jianan shared the case of a 19-year-old male college student with abnormal elevated blood sugar and glycosylated hemoglobin, mainly due to long-term excessive consumption of fast food, drinking whole sugar drinks and lack of exercise, resulting in metabolic imbalance. Doctors remind of the 4 major glycemic food landmines: white toast, high glycemic index, cola and sugary drinks, excessive sugar content, fried foods, high in calories and easy to increase insulin resistance, and dried fruits, high in concentrated sugar. It is recommended to avoid these foods and control blood sugar with diet and exercise. News highlights: in the peak summer vacation tourism season, Taichung's mountainous areas such as Lishan, Guguan, and Hualien are deserted, and the booking rate in July is only about 3 to 5%, a sharp decline from about 8% in the same period in previous years. Industry players pointed out that the typhoon and the appreciation of the Taiwan dollar have made it more attractive to leave the country, and the wave of recalls and political disturbances on the island have made people prefer to leave the country to escape the summer. Lishan and Guguan operators all said that the number of tourists has decreased and the cost performance of sits is not high, and Hualien accommodation has delayed booking due to the lack of new activities and traffic concerns. The overall popularity of international travel has subsided significantly, and the tourism industry is facing challenges. News highlights: numerology specialist Zhang Weishong was recently complained by customers that looking at feng shui is unprofessional, because he did not bring a compass, and the first thing he did was to pee first, called good luck urine can be prosperous. The customer criticized him for watching feng shui for less than 10 minutes, and then frantically promoted the lucky ornaments with a price of 3 or 400,000 yuan, questioning him for marketing in the name of feng shui. Zhang Weishong responded that he adhered to the principle of fortune telling is not allowed and no fee is charged, emphasizing that if the ornament is invalid within half a year, it can be returned, and he is willing to see feng shui again for free. He explained that he was embarrassed to borrow the toilet directly, and emphasized that he had helped customers bring good luck many times in the past, and insisted on respecting customers. News highlights recently, the boy group F4 sang Meteor Shower together at the May Day concert, which triggered a nostalgic boom. XIN, whose real name is Heesun, who played a child star in the side story of Meteor Garden, shared childhood stills with F4 members on social platforms, evoking fan memories. Now 31 years old, she has faded out of the entertainment industry and has become a primary school teacher and wind musician of the Stone Fruit Man Orchestra. XIN is grateful for the rare experience of working with F4 in his childhood, and continues to be loved by fans. News highlights: Miss Bulletin City invited Yu Xiang Chuan, Lemon, and others to the show, and the focus fell on Patrick and Lemon's scandal on the same stage. Lemon mentions that Patrick will report the itinerary, which triggers a lot of confusion in the audience, and the two interact ambiguously. Lemon clarified that the two only discussed work, and Patrick confessed that he was worried about the other company's pimples, and generously promised to invite him to a birthday dinner. In the show, he even flirted with clothes and made pink bubbles, with a joyful atmosphere, and the show was broadcast on the evening of the 14th. News highlights: Nono was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in the first instance for the crime of attempted forced sex, and after the incident broke out, his wife Zhu Haijun's career was frustrated, and she left Heji Records, which had cooperated for 14 years, to take on the family's finances. Although the monthly expenditure is about 300,000 yuan, Zhu makes a living by commercial performances, with a remuneration of 15 to 200,000 yuan and a monthly income of about 600,000 yuan. She suspended film and television announcements and relied only on sporadic activities to maintain her income. Nono is currently unable to make a comeback, and instead assists Zhu Haijun in dealing with acting contracts and commercial performances. News highlights: 62-year-old Kung Fu Emperor Jet Li has devoted himself to practicing Buddhism in recent years and faded out of the entertainment industry. He also mentioned that his youngest daughter had suffered from depression and had suicidal thoughts when she was 19 years old, and later the father and daughter confessed to communication, discussing life and death and estate planning, believing that people should communicate more before death and face the end of life calmly. News highlights: veteran actress Tan I-Chen opposed the government's universal cash policy of 10,000 yuan, bluntly saying that it was a super bad policy, and she was afraid that it would become a hotbed of fraud, which attracted thousands of abusive messages, making her say that it was the first time she encountered this situation in her 70s. She stressed that everyone can have a different position, she is just kindly reminding the public to guard against fraud, willing to bear criticism, just hope to raise vigilance and reduce victimization, and optimistically said that this incident is a test of life, and she will wait and watch everything and continue to pay attention to social issues. News highlights: lawyer Li Yijun broke the news on the show that a certain Lottie girl was suspected of becoming a wealthy businessman and had an abortion with medicine, and netizens pointed the finger at Dora. Dora has not responded so far, and it is rumored that the 200,000 yuan liquidated damages for her departure from the United Lions will be paid by wealthy businessmen, and the Lottie Ball Club has said that the contract arrangement will be decided by the end of the year. Li Yijun posted again that a fatal knife is left to the main palace, and satirized that the junior brought pets into the door to affect children's allergies, and the words were full of gunpowder, and the turmoil continued to burn. News highlights: Chen Lingzhu announced the suspension of performing arts activities due to the desertion controversy, and recently deleted all IG posts without warning, retreated from all fans and members of the Wujian Love League, and is suspected of completely quitting the showbiz. The brokerage company said it respected its decision and thanked the outside world for their concern. Chen Lingzhu has been controversial in recent years, involving the JPEX gold absorption case and Texas Hold'em poker gambling, and this year's desertion incident broke out again, and his image was damaged, and even Wu Jianqing and Zhou CP activities were also suspended. News highlights: actress Huang Xiaoro was chased and hit when she drove out yesterday, 14, morning, and she was stupid on the spot, but fortunately no one was injured. Her husband Wang Rui happened to be driving in the rear and rushed to the scene to deal with it as soon as possible, which moved her to say "I am in love again." Afterwards, Huang Xiaoro posted a message through the community to report her safety, saying that the car was insured and the other party was safe. It was just a small accident when the car collided. Thank you for your concern. News highlights: Singapore's energy mix is dependent on imports, and it is actively promoting cross-border green power imports to achieve net zero emissions, including purchasing electricity from Australia, planning to build the world's largest solar farm and 4,300 kilometers of submarine cables, which are expected to start construction in 2028. Singapore has also signed power supply agreements with Vietnam, Indonesia, and Cambodia, and signed energy agreements with Malaysia and Vietnam to develop submarine cable connections. ASEAN is pushing for regional power grids, drawing on the successful experience of Europe's North Sea. If Taiwan wants to transmit electricity abroad, it still faces major challenges such as grid disintegration and geopolitics. News highlights: as the National Army's Han Kuang No. 41 exercise entered its 7th day, the military police headquarters carried out the first full-length blockade at Wanban Bridge in the early hours of this morning, and conducted a bridge garrison and stronghold group combat exercise. Set up 4 blocking positions, deploy 32 obstacle facilities, and dispatch Clouded Leopard armored vehicles, Javelin missiles, and Kestrel rockets to simulate lag and annihilate the enemy, and protect the political and economic center. The exercise integrated the advantages of firepower and terrain, strengthened actual combat experience and overall defense effectiveness, and demonstrated the central defense and the resilience of the whole people. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump promised last year that he would end the war between Ukraine and Russia as soon as he took office, but he was dissatisfied with the lack of progress in peace talks after returning to the White House for more than half a year. At a White House cabinet meeting last week, Trump criticized Russian President Vladimir Putin for talking nonsense and not being sincere about peace talks. On the evening of the 14th, Trump held talks with the NATO Secretary General and announced that the United States would provide more advanced weapons to NATO, and NATO would coordinate military operations to aid Ukraine. He warned that if peace talks are not reached within 50 days, the United States will impose tariffs of up to 100% on Russia. This move is in line with the U.S. Senate's push for a comprehensive sanctions bill against Russia and pressuring Russia to start peace talks. News highlights: the Legislative Yuan passed the amendment to Article 53 of the Law on the Protection of the Rights and Interests of the Physically and Mentally Disabled in the third reading, changing the fraternity seat to priority seat, and the target audience from elderly, weak, women and children to those with other practical needs, emphasizing more inclusiveness. In addition, the resolution requires the Ministry of Communications and the Ministry of Health and Welfare to unify priority signs, promote diversified publicity and broadcast reminders, enhance social comedy and respect for users' rights, and promote a friendly and barrier-free environment. News highlights: the EU intends to impose tariffs on US goods worth about €72 billion, NT $2.47 trillion, covering Boeing aircraft, American cars, bourbon, machinery and equipment, chemicals and many other products. The move responds to Trump's policy of imposing tariffs on EU goods and warns of countermeasures if the two sides fail to reach a trade deal. Trump said he was willing to negotiate with the EU and partners before the new tariffs came into effect in August to avoid an escalation of the trade conflict. News highlights: the Taichung District Court ruled on the evening of the 14th to detain and prohibit the death of 5 people in Fengyuan, Taichung, on suspicion of fraud, intimidation to obtain money, and forgery of documents, and the risk of colluding evidence and annihilating evidence. In a Facebook post, Ms. Lee instructed the witness to delete the conversation history, changed her Line account, and summoned her to contact her with another account, which was believed to be an attempt to influence the witness's statement. The court noted that if she refused to accept her detention, she could file a protest within 10 days. News highlights: the Legislative Yuan passed the third reading of the amendment to change the name of the fraternity seat to the priority seat, and the applicable objects were changed from the elderly, infirm, women and children to those with actual needs, such as the physically and mentally handicapped and the physically unwell. Not less than 15% of the seats for unnumbered public transport must still be reserved and located near the entrances and exits. The Ministry of Transport will work with the Ministry of Health and Welfare to develop a unified icon and promote publicity to reduce misunderstandings and conflicts, emphasizing that passengers should give up their seats based on empathy and needs, rather than moral kidnapping. News highlights: in an exclusive interview with CCTV, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang announced that the US government has approved the export license for H20 chips, and NVIDIA will start shipping to the Chinese market, and said he is very happy about this. In addition, he announced the upcoming launch of a new graphics card, RTX Pro, designed for graphics computing, digital twins, and AI. H20 is an AI chip built by NVIDIA for China in response to US export restrictions, based on the Hopper architecture, with the performance slightly higher than 910B, suitable for vertical model training and inference. News highlights: with the advent of the summer vacation craze for going abroad, it is common for passengers to be forced to throw away illegal items during security checks. According to the observation of 486 group buying, the most frequently questioned items are mobile power banks, portable fans, and hairdressers. The power bank must be carried on board and the capacity shall not exceed 100 Wh. If the fan is a detachable battery, it should be packed separately and properly insulated. The hairdresser is distinguished according to the battery design, the plug-in type can be checked in, and the wireless model is prohibited if the battery is not detachable. Be sure to check the specifications before leaving the country to avoid security checks. News highlights: the well-known producer B2 launched a new talent show, Cosmic Cheerleaders, and invited Super Junior Yoonhyuk as the host. When asked if he would invite Xiao S as a guest, B2 made it clear that he would no, emphasizing that Xiao S was resting and did not want to disturb. Xiao S previously asked for half a year off from Miss Buletin City. B2 respects her rhythm, and it is up to her to decide whether to return to work or not. At present, the two sides have little contact but full of tacit understanding, and the show is temporarily hosted by Wu Shanru, waiting for Xiao S to return. News highlights: a fire accident occurred today on the National Highway No. 3 Nama interchange, involving a second-hand Mercedes that had just been delivered for 2 days and was more than 15 years old. If the owner of the car only pays the deposit and encounters an accident, whether he still has to pay the balance has aroused concern. The Nantou consumer insurance officer said that if the purchase is from a car dealer, the fire is a major defect, and the contract can be terminated within 6 months and the price can be refunded, the vehicle is then retrieved by the buyer. However, if it is a private transaction, it will be handled in accordance with the civil law, and the consumer protection law does not apply. News highlights J-Jo and G-Dragon surprise combination. J-Jo posted a photo with GD on IG, revealing that GD visited his home, and the two looked at Taipei City from the balcony, showing their deep friendship. Both of them are dressed in black, and their looks are full of tacit understanding, and Zhou Dong said that they communicate with each other through wine and art. Previously, Dong Zhou sent a flower basket to congratulate the GD arena performance, and it was even revealed that the two were quietly preparing a new chorus. In this regard, Jewel did not respond or deny it, which aroused enthusiastic expectations from fans. News highlights Jia Xingxing, a disaster prevention expert, pointed out that the environment is favorable for the formation of typhoons before next Saturday, and it is estimated that there may be typhoons passing through the Bay Strait from Friday to Saturday. In terms of recent weather, there were mostly localized brief showers in the afternoon in the central and southern parts of the country and mountainous areas. From next Monday to Thursday, there will be showers in various places, and there is still a greater risk of rain in Huadong and Pingtung. From late July to early August, there was more rainfall in the southern part of the country, and it turned less in mid-August, so the typhoon dynamics and tropical system still need to be closely observed and the forecast updated. News highlights according to media reports, President Li Qiang is expected to visit friends in Central and South America, including Paraguay, Guatemala, and Belize, in August, making his second foreign trip after taking office. Officials in Paraguay and Belize also revealed that President Li will be visiting, though the exact itinerary was not announced. It is said that the trip will stop through New York and Dallas, USA. In this regard, the presidential office said that there is no relevant explanation at present, and if the itinerary is confirmed, it will explain to the public in due course. News highlights the recall group of news shooting of the Blue Committee of Dawin No. 1 constituency was spat on by irrational people when preaching in Nankin yesterday, 14, and some people took photos and videos, which attracted attention. Chen Xiaoyi, the leader of the boycott and pastor, said when attending the national defense ceremony on the 15th that the boycott has been working hard for more than 180 days, with 2 critical weeks left, and called on law enforcement units to pay attention to the safety of volunteers and avoid any harm. Chen Xiaoyi stressed that the recall is a legitimate citizens' movement, and hopes that the people will actively vote for it on July 26 to protect Taiwan's freedom and democracy. News highlights in the 11th day to the general recall, the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, Legislative Yuan Caucus visited local public officials and boycott groups at Hsinchu Zolian Market this morning, 15th, calling on voters to cast their recall consent votes on July 26. Wu Saiyao, Secretary General of the party caucus, apologized in his speech, saying that the May Day team was late, but under the leadership of the chief caller K. Jianming, he hoped that the Hsinchu Shuangba, Mayor Gao Honggan and Blue Committee Zheng Zhengchao would be successful. Wu stressed that the May Day team is the backing of the people, thanked the villagers of Hsinchu for their unity, and hoped that the recall would be successfully achieved. News highlights Kuomintang legislator Ye Yuanzi was accused by the widow of his late assistant that his assistant had been subjected to mental abuse and verbal humiliation during his tenure, which led to physical deterioration and suspected overwork. The widow made the conversation public, showing that Ye Yuanzi ignored the assistant's medical needs and repeatedly criticized the content of the interrogator's draft. The Taipei Municipal Labor Bureau once fined Ye Ban 90,000 yuan for failing to set up a clock and workplace violence prevention measures and required a deadline for improvement. Ye Yuanzi denied bullying, emphasizing respect for his family and saying that he was not a habitual boss, but the controversy continued to arouse heated discussions among netizens. News highlights after exposing the frustration of the Kuomintang in its anti-recall campaign, Li Yuxiang, a member of the new Taipei City Council, turned to the palace and the front system to mobilize, and offered 500 yuan in cash per person to participate in the July 19 campaign. Li criticized the Blue Camp for not accepting votes without bribery, and provided transcripts of conversations as evidence, alleging that the meeting time and place and cash distribution were clearly arranged, calling on the prosecutor to conduct a comprehensive investigation into whether it involved illegal bribery in elections, and stressing the need to put an end to hostile election behavior. The governor of New Taipei City has not dared to mobilize blatantly. News highlights in the Sister Hong incident in Nanjing, China, a 38-year-old man surnamed Jiao disguised himself as a woman and tricked more than 1,600 men into in-depth exchanges in 3 years, and secretly filmed videos for profit. Most of the protagonists of the film are fitness trainers, college students, and foreigners, and some people even know that their male bodies are still having relationships with them, and They Are Coming has become an internet meme. Anti-communist internet celebrity Bajian was rumored to be one of the clients, and he publicly refuted and mocked the rumors. Jiao has been arrested by the police on suspicion of disseminating obscene materials, and if he knows that he is infected with HIV and still has unprotected sex with many people, he may face a heavier sentence, up to the death penalty. News highlights. According to the latest poll by the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation, the support of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, continued to lead, reaching 36.5%, an increase of 0.6 percentage points from the previous month, and the support of the Kuomintang rose to 21.5%. The People's Party fell 3.5 percentage points to 11.5%, the lowest since April 2022. The combined support of blue and white is still 3.5% behind the DPP. In addition, the number of supporters without a specific party increased to 27.4%. The survey was conducted from 7 to July 9 and was conducted with a double book sample, covering 1,083 adults over the age of 20, with a sampling error of about plus or minus 2.98%. News highlights. The executive premier, Chuk Wing-tai, announced that the 2025 Urban Resilience, Air Defense, exercise will be conducted in different divisions from July 15 to 18 in conjunction with the National Solidarity Month, but in response to the heavy rain in the south, the drill will be suspended in Yunlin, Chi, and Tainan areas. During the exercise, when the public hears the air raid siren or disaster prevention warning message, they should stay calm and evacuate according to the instructions of the police and civil defense personnel. Chuk stressed that the exercise would help raise the awareness of air defense among the whole people, and reminded those who did not cooperate that they could be fined between 30,000 and 150,000 yuan under the civil defense law, and called on the whole people to participate in strengthening disaster preparedness. News highlights. DPP legislator Shen Boyang announced on Facebook that his mother passed away on July 14 at the age of 68. He said that although he was reluctant to give up, he believed that his mother had completed her merits and went to the Western Elysium to practice. Shen Boyang emphasized that everything during the funeral will be simple and will be handled in a low-key manner. If you are unable to attend public activities, please forgive the outside world. After the news was exposed, many dignitaries and netizens left messages of condolences and expressed their condolences and care. News highlights. Taiwanese King Cai Xiaohu, 62, was hospitalized with intestinal stickiness and suffered from a severe cold in 2022, and was misreported dead by Chinese media at the time. Recently, he was maliciously spread rumors on Facebook by unscrupulous people, falsely claiming that he died 12 hours after being rescued due to a hidden illness. Cai Xiaohu was so angry that he took a screenshot in response, emphasizing false reports, and bluntly said in Taiwanese, "Little tiger is added. Mai hei bai gong, don't talk nonsense," clarifying that he is healthy and calling for the cessation of malicious rumors. News highlights. U.S. Congressman Downing said that China is eyeing the reunification of Taiwan within 50 years and will not take action during Trump's tenure, stressing that Taiwan policy should be formulated from a long-term perspective. Another Republican congressman, Wilson, emphasized seeking peace through strength, recalling seeing the delivery of F-16 fighters to Taiwan, and pointed out that Taiwan has enhanced its strength through military defense equipment and cooperated with allies such as the United States, Japan, and South Korea to jointly maintain regional peace. The two agreed that the U.S. Congress supports Taiwan's bipartisan approach and called on Taiwan to learn from Ukraine and persist in resistance and strengthen its own strength to ensure security. News highlights. Kuomintang legislator Ye Yuanzi was accused of mentally bullying the late assistant man surnamed Fang, causing his condition to deteriorate. For the first time, Assistant Fang's widow made public dozens of screenshots of conversations between the two sides, accusing Ye of verbal humiliation, cold violence, and infringement of 5 labor rights. Ye Yuanzi denied improper dismissal, saying that the assistant left voluntarily and that his work was flexible and there was no deduction of salary. In March, the Taipei Municipal Labor Bureau found that its office did not have a clock and workplace violence prevention measures, and fined it 90,000 yuan at the end of April and required it to make improvements within a time limit. The widow criticized Ye for not reflecting and called on the society to judge the rights and wrongs of the incident. News highlights. Taiwan's Tiantuan F4 recently joined for the first time at the invitation of Mayday, and its appearance was frozen and age-free, causing heated discussions. Emotional expert Su Chuan analyzed that the main reason for this is that Yan Chenso lost his father in childhood and lacked a sense of security, forming an avoidant attachment personality, longing for intimacy but afraid of getting closer, and it is difficult to truly connect with Lin Chiliang, who pursues stable love. Su Chuan lamented that although the two loved each other deeply, they could not love each other, and reminded that the relationship broke down because they didn't know how to love and couldn't love, and if they could fix the problem, they wouldn't miss each other. Now that Lin Chiliang is married, Yan Chensu is still single, and this relationship has become a memory of youth. News highlights. Socialite Zheng Xinying has been married to Guo Taming since 2008, and her image is elegant and enthusiastic about public welfare. Today, 12th, she rarely revealed her inner feelings on social platforms. No one is always smooth and beautiful, emphasizing that the beauty of appearance is not as important as insisting on kindness and honesty in the face of adversity. Her words resonated with fans, and her friend Guan Ying also praised her inner firmness. In addition, Zheng Xinying recently received the first commercial endorsement to learn more about the products to help burn and psoriasis patients, and donated all the 8-figure remuneration she received, demonstrating the spirit of defining true beauty with good deeds. News highlights from July 18 to August 11, 2025. There will be a second wave of Mercury retrograde for 25 days, and numerology expert Meng Shimizu named Leo, Cancer, Libra, Virgo, and Scorpio as the worst disaster signs. Leo is prone to communication barriers and self-confidence, Cancer is facing financial and emotional challenges, Libra is strained in interpersonal relationships, Virgo is over-analytical and procrastinating, and Scorpio is prone to obstacles and friction in their careers. Experts advise the above zodiac signs to slow down, examine the details, avoid impulsive actions, express emotions at the right time, and wait for the situation to clear. News highlights South Korea's King GD, Kwan's Hailong, recently started singing at the Taipei Arena, attracting the support of many stars, including Lee So-hyuk and EXO members who came to Taiwan in May. GD belongs to Leo, has a warm and generous personality, sticks a knife in the ribs for friends, and has deep friendships. Horoscope experts point out that Cancer, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo are the 4 zodiac signs that are successful and have the most close friends. Cancer is known for their warmth and care, and they are willing to give everything for their friends. Taurus is honest and reliable, and long-term friendships. Scorpio is affectionate and loyal, and is a strong backing for friends, enthusiastic and optimistic. Leo is the soul of the circle of friends, always bringing support and encouragement. These zodiac signs are good at managing genuine friendships. News highlights a dispute broke out at about 6 p.m. yesterday, 14, on Taiwan Railway Train 3247, and a passenger surnamed Wang was suspected of being occupied by a young man because the seat behind the toilet was occupied, and a dispute broke out between the two parties. Some passengers accused Wang Nan of showing a knife in the carriage to cause panic, and after the police arrived, they found that Wang Nan took out a knife box containing a ceramic chef's knife from his backpack. The police determined that his behavior was suspected of violating the social security law and the crime of intimidation, seized the knife and continued to strengthen the safety patrol of the station area. News highlights a tropical depression or typhoon may form over the eastern part of the Philippines this weekend, and it is expected to move northwest and west, possibly through the Bay Strait or directly to the Philippines. The meteorological department pointed out that the tropical system is gradually approaching from Friday, with significant rainfall in the eastern half and southern part of the country, and there is a risk of heavy rain or heavy rain in some areas, especially in Hualien, Taitung, and Hengchun Peninsula. Although the probability of going straight to Taiwan is slightly lower at present, it cannot be ignored. People should continue to pay attention to the weather forecast, and be sure to pay attention to weather changes and rain precautions when going out. News highlights Su Peijing, the former chairman of the Taiwan Esports League, was involved in the money laundering case of the Kyushu Gaming Group, accusing the prosecutor surnamed Zhang of using contemptuous tone and verbal harassment during the interrogation, causing physical and mental discomfort. During the investigation, the Taichung District Prosecutor's Office found that Prosecutor Chang had repeatedly made inappropriate speeches, and was even suspected of tampering with police evidence and concealing information in favor of Kyushu's third-party payment gang company, which had assisted in freezing the victim's account and cooperated in solving the case. Chen Zhenggu, the president of Kyushu, accused Prosecutor Zhang of abusing his power through his lawyer. The response of the Taichung District Prosecutor's Office is still under discussion, and the case continues to attract attention. News highlights the Kuomintang New Taipei City anti-recall campaign caused controversy. New Taipei City Councillor Li Yuxiang broke the news that the Fire Bureau had launched a special tolerance to ask the vigilantes to participate in the Blue Camp activities, and then stopped due to pressure, but the Kuomintang turned to the Palace Temple and the front system to mobilize, and even suspected of paying 500 yuan for attendance. Li also released a record of the conversation, questioning the illegal bribery of voters, and calling on the prosecutor to intervene in the investigation. The Kuomintang New Taipei City Party Department vehemently denied it, calling the mobilization fee accusation unfounded, reprimanding the other side for smearing and emphasizing that the anti-recall action was legitimate and legitimate. The confrontation between the two sides continues to heat up. News highlights Josh of South Korean internet celebrity channel FJ234 recently released a video comparing Blackpink and Twice's new song MV, commenting on Twice member Zhang Yian and citing unconfirmed trainee revelations, alleging that Zhang X did a lot of dirty things, which sparked a backlash from fans. In this regard, Josh and fellow channel member Fu publicly apologized on YouTube, admitting that artists should not be judged lightly or spreading rumors, and deeply apologized to Dinjian, Twice and fans once, and said that they will learn a lesson, be cautious in their words and deeds in the future, and respect the hard work of each artist. News highlights after the alcohol spray can jam incident on the 13th, the door was jammed on the 14th due to the falling of the one-way ticket, which caused the door of the Bannan Line train to be unable to close, and the train returned to the factory for maintenance and affected the commuting. The MRT company emphasizes the safety detection design of the car door, but the foreign object card door still needs to be isolated and repaired, and calls on passengers to pay attention to 5 points when boarding, moving inside after getting on the train, changing the backpack to carrying, properly storing personal belongings, not leaning on the door to keep a distance, and not breaking in after the door closing warning sound, so as to ensure the smooth and safe flow of the train and avoid affecting the journey. News highlights: the Goan Fund continued to protect the disc, and TSMC's share price rushed to 1,115 yuan, driving Taiwan stocks close to the 22,900 point level. The plastic group is encouraged by the opening second of Formosa Plastics, and the explosive volume is limited, and South Asia will go ex-dividend on July 22, and the performance of the interest rate is highly anticipated. Formosa Plastics Sabeo has completed 3 ex-dividends and quickly filled the interest, with a total loss of more than 25 billion yuan in the second quarter due to tariffs and NTD appreciation, but the peak season of the petrochemical industry in the third quarter is coming, and product shipments and prices are expected to recover. South Asia benefited from stable demand for electronic materials, and corporate entities are optimistic about revenue growth in the third quarter, and the outlook for interest filling is promising. News highlights: TSMC, 2330, received a large order from Intel, and it is rumored that the blockbuster desktop processor Nova Lake S in 2026 will use TSMC's 2nm process, which is now being finalized and is expected to be mass-produced in the third quarter of 2026. This move has added momentum to TSMC's advanced process orders, and Intel has become a new customer after Apple, Nvidia, Huawei, etc. Nova Lake S features a multi-core design, up to 52 cores, that combines a high-speed memory controller with an Xe3/Xe4 GPU for powerful performance. TSMC will hold a legal conference on Thursday, and Intel will not comment on the news. The cooperation between the two parties extends to 2nm, demonstrating the coexistence of competition and cooperation. News highlights: an explosion and fire broke out at the Kaohsiung plant of Sanyuan Energy Technology under Taiwan Cement Corporation in the early morning of the 14th, injuring 15 employees and police officers, and the fire took nearly 3 hours to be controlled. The city government has ordered a work stoppage, and according to the air pollution law, the maximum fine is 5 million yuan, and the suspension of work may be as long as 3 months, which will impact the operation of Taiwan Mud. The plant is the first GWH-level high-end battery factory in Taiwan, mainly producing nickel ternary batteries, which are used in electric supercars and aircraft, and have international orders. Taiwan Cement Corporation said that the Nank plant can support production capacity and actively coordinate with customers to reduce the impact. The stock price hit a multi-year low due to the fluctuation of the incident, and the factory emphasized that the product combustion does not produce hydrofluoric acid, and cooperated with the investigation. News highlights: according to the data of Taiwan Housing Group, the highest increase in housing prices in the 6 capitals was in Daxi District, Dawan, with 189,000 yuan per square meter in the first quarter of last year, and rose to 258,000 yuan this year, an annual increase of 36.6%, ranking first among the 6 capitals. New Taipei Zizi, Tainan Shanhua, Taichung Dali, Kaohsiung Quoto and other districts also rose by more than 20%, Taipei's Datong district saw the lowest increase, with an 11.4% increase. Daxi district has benefited from transportation construction and tourism development, and the base period of housing prices has grown significantly. Shanhua and Quoto are driven by science and technology parks. On the other hand, the largest decline in housing prices was 16.8% in Jiali district of Tainan, 12.4% in Dajia in Taichung, and 9% in Kaohsiung Forest Park. The central bank's loan restriction policy has weakened the buying atmosphere, and the housing market in Liudu has shown mixed results, and market confidence still needs to be improved. News highlights: the United States plans to impose tariffs of up to 32% on some Taiwanese products. Although it is suspended for 90 days, it still arouses high concern for Taiwan's economy and people. According to the survey, more than 90% of the people are aware of this policy, nearly 80% are worried about rising prices and economic recession, and more than half are worried about investment in the job market. Enterprises have begun to adjust their strategies, some people reduce their assets, and some people increase their holdings at low prices. Nearly half of the people are dissatisfied with the government's response and hope for greater policy transparency and price control. The implementation details of this tariff policy have not yet been clearly announced, which continues to cause uncertainty and market volatility. News highlights: the Consumer Price Index, CPI, has risen by nearly 3.9% this year, which is expected to trigger the adjustment of the tax exemption, standard deduction and related deductions in 2026, which is expected to increase by about 4,000 yuan, increase the standard deduction by 5,000 yuan, increase the deduction for wages and disability by 8,000 yuan, and adjust the tax bracket at the same time. There is also a possibility of adjustment of the retirement income allowance, which will affect the installment and lump sum payment standards. According to the Ministry of Finance, the final adjustment will be determined after the announcement at the end of the year and the release of the latest price index by the controller, and multi-family households will be the biggest beneficiaries. News highlights: the Legislative Yuan passed the third reading of the universal cash of 10,000 yuan, which will be disbursed by October 31 at the latest. In July, the Labor Insurance Bureau will successively issue 20 subsidies, including the national pension and the labor insurance annuity. On the 15th, the funeral benefits of the national pension insurance will be paid first, and those who meet the qualifications can check the passbook for confirmation. The funeral benefit is calculated according to the monthly insured amount of the month of death multiplied by 5 months, and the application period is 5 years from the date of death. Other allowances such as maternity benefits, farmers' pensions and labor pensions will be paid in July according to the schedule, and the public should pay attention to the notice. News highlights: Huazhong Electronics, 3,202, owed employees wages for 10 months, totaling 31.31 million yuan, and owed 27.71 million yuan for goods, with a total debt of nearly 60 million yuan. The company said that cash needs exceeded revenue in the next 3 months, and it will sell the assets of its subsidiaries to raise repayment funds. Huazhong was removed from the counter by the competent authority in advance due to the failure to submit financial reports for 2 consecutive quarters, and the stock stopped trading on July 21, causing investors to suffer heavy losses and the stock became wallpaper. The company is actively taking stock of assets and seeking financing in the hope of alleviating financial pressures. News highlights: the Taichung Fengyuan murder case continued to be investigated, and the prosecutors found that a woman surnamed Li, nicknamed Li Tuanchang, lured the Wang family to invest in the name of purchasing gold, resulting in a debt of 5 million yuan, and instigated the mortgage of real estate and pawning cars and motorcycles to raise funds, and finally forced the Wang family to go to a dead end. Li Nu was detained on suspicion of fraud, forgery of documents and intimidation to obtain money, and there was a risk of collusion and annihilation of evidence, and was detained and brought to the case on the 14th, and the Taichung District Court ruled on the 15th to detain and prohibit the public. The prosecution continues to interview more than 30 people and is actively investigating. News highlights: on a Taiwan railway train, a 73-year-old man surnamed Wang had an argument with a young passenger due to a seat dispute, and Wang Nan took out a plastic box containing a ceramic chef's knife from his backpack. After the train arrived at Tainan Station, the police intervened in the investigation and took Wang Nan away for investigation on the charge of intimidation in violation of the criminal law, and seized the knife. Wang Nan argued that the knife was used to protect himself, and the police are reviewing the surveillance cameras to clarify the circumstances of the incident and urge passengers to pay attention to public safety. News highlights: Harzkal Jr. 37, the son of a Hollywood director and Emmy winner, is suspected of brutally murdering his Chinese wife Li Mei and her parents-in-law, and disposing of his wife's body in a trash can. Police arrested him in November 2023 and found the scene of the crime covered in blood. Haskell Jr. pleaded not guilty to the charges and could not explain the bloodstains, and the court ruled that he could not be released on bail. The trial was originally scheduled to start on the 14th, but on the 12th, the prison guards found the corpse in the cell, and the preliminary judgment was suicide. District attorneys said that the suspects evaded justice, which was regrettable and difficult to fully understand the facts of the case. News highlights: Yunnan has recently received a number of cases in which snack bars have been reported for violating the gender equality law for recruiting talents, and one of them was fined 300,000 yuan for recruiting female assistants. Zhang Shizhong, director of the Labor and Youth Division, pointed out that there is no counseling period for gender discrimination in talent recruitment, and fines will be imposed if they violate the law, and due to the popularity of social media, there has been an increase in reports of similar recruitment advertisements for men or women. Most of the reported stores are operated with small capital and limited funds, and Zhang called on the central government to amend the law to reduce the burden on snack bars and avoid high fines affecting entrepreneurship. News highlights: Boa debuted 24 years ago, and was originally scheduled to hold a solo concert at the end of August, but had to announce the cancellation of the performance due to the diagnosis of avascular necrosis of the bones in his knee and the need for surgery. SM Entertainment said that in order to protect Boa's health and avoid excessive activities, surgery will be prioritized and whether to resume concerts will be decided depending on the recovery status. The completed 25th anniversary album of their debut will still be released as scheduled. This news is regrettable to fans, and I hope everyone understands the importance of Boa's health first. News highlights: Josh, a member of LGBT internet celebrity FJ234, broke the news in the video and criticized Twice member Jian Jun for doing a lot of dirty things, which caused strong dissatisfaction among fans. After the incident, Josh deleted the video and publicly apologized, admitting that he should not judge or spread unconfirmed rumors lightly, apologized to Dinjian and fans once, and said that he would be cautious in his words and deeds and respect the efforts of all artists. The incident sparked a confrontation between the two groups of fans, and Josh's apology video was accepted by some fans, but the turmoil continued to ferment. News highlights: a family of 5 surnamed Wang in Fengyuan, Taichung, was suspected of being defrauded to death by a group buyer surnamed Li. Li Nu deceived the Wang family by purchasing gold in exchange for commissions, resulting in her mortgage of real estate, locomotives, and loan sharks unable to repay, and her family chose to go to Huangchuan together. Li Nu was previously granted bail of 150,000 yuan, but she was detained and banned yesterday on suspicion of fraud, forgery of documents and intimidation to obtain money, and the risk of colluding and destroying evidence. The prosecution has obtained new evidence of mobile phones, credit cards and witnesses, and the investigation is ongoing. News highlights meteorological expert Xu Xingxing reminded that from Wednesday, it is necessary to pay attention to the development of the tropical system off the coast of the eastern part of the Philippines, and there is a high probability of typhoons on Friday and Saturday, and the typhoon may pass through the Base Strait. Affected by the peripheral circulation, there are locally heavy rains in Hualien, Taitung, Pingtung, and other places. The weather will be changeable in the coming week, with scattered short showers in mountainous and coastal areas, and there is also the possibility of rain in Baibiji, Yulan, Huadong and other places, so you should continue to pay attention to weather changes and typhoon movements. News highlights Chinese internet celebrity Nanjing Hengjia disguised herself as a woman and had sex with 1,691 men and sold videos for profit, which attracted attention. Taiwanese internet celebrity Bajian was accused by netizens of being involved in the incident, saying that he had wanted to buy videos and have sex. In response, Bajian posted an ironic response on Threads, "It's here anyway," and denied the relevant accusations, satirizing the absurdity of the revelations. The incident sparked heated discussions among netizens, and many people questioned the authenticity of the revelations, believing that the content was absurd and untrustworthy. News highlights on the evening of the 14th, there was a regrettable incident in Nantun District, Taichung, where a 17-year-old boy suddenly lost his breathing and heartbeat while eating, and his family was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment and was still declared dead. The sudden tragedy has left the family deeply saddened, and the police have intervened in the investigation to clarify the cause of death and the circumstances of the incident, but the details are still to be clarified. News highlights Su Rentu, a veteran politician of the Democratic Progressive Party, died of heart and lung failure at his home in Kaohsiung on July 10 at the age of 77. Su Rentu was born in the cultural world, is the founder of Hilo Books, and is the author of 21 Bells. He has been in politics since 1987 and has served as Director of Information Affairs, Director of Civil Affairs Bureau, and Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP. Although he was interviewed in June about his involvement in the corruption case of former legislator Chen Upo, he was in good condition before his death and passed away in his sleep the next day. The farewell ceremony will be held in Kaohsiung on July 21. News highlights South Korean singer Boa announced that he was suffering from avascular necrosis of the bones and needed surgery due to worsening knee pain, and SM Entertainment said that in order to protect the artist's health, the solo concert scheduled for August 30 to 31 will be cancelled, and apologized to fans. Although the performance is cancelled, the new album for the 25th anniversary of Boa's debut will still be released as scheduled, and whether the follow-up concert will be rescheduled will be notified separately depending on his recovery. News highlights artist Cai Yunja successfully gave birth to her son Xiaofu Bao by caesarean section, weighing 3,500 grams, 52 centimeters tall, and it only took 5 minutes from entering the delivery room to the birth of the baby. The prenatal mood was complicated. Zaija went to the clinic alone to give birth, and because she was reluctant to temporarily separate from her daughter Xiaofuxing, she decided to let her daughter visit after giving birth to a more stable recovery. The husband was very moved to see the baby, and initially judged that the son looked like his mother, and the whole family was immersed in the joy of the birth of a new life. News highlights YouTuber Lu Meng's popularity has been hit hard by the controversy over his attitude, and he has recently made a comeback with a CO-branded costume to set off discussions again. The problem is not Lu Meng, but the audience's choice of internet celebrity culture. He pointed out that the internet is not a moral court, but a voice market, and brands know how to work in style, and they can monetize when they stir up topics. He called on the public to reflect, what kind of creators do we want to support? What really determines who can stand on the stage is the choice of the audience. News highlights it has been 5 months since Big S passed away, and SS mother Huang Chunmei has been unable to get out of the pain of losing her daughter, and recently posted on Facebook late at night, "Miss my baby daughter, Shan Shan," in just 9 words. She was full of grief, causing netizens to be reluctant and comforted. She also openly recruited friends, hoping that someone would accompany her to walk out of her grief. Netizens left messages to encourage her with the famous quote of Coco nightclub, "As long as someone remembers, it is not a real death," and SS mother also thanked everyone for their care and support. News highlights NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang announced on the 15th that the US government has approved the export license for H20 chips, and NVIDIA will begin to sell this AI accelerator to the Chinese market. It will also feature a new RTX Pro graphics card designed for computer graphics, digital twins, and AI. The H20 chip is designed in response to US export restrictions and uses the Hopper architecture and advanced packaging technology to be suitable for specific model training and inference. Huang expressed high expectations for the resumption of shipments to China and emphasized the significance of this development for NVIDIA. News highlights the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on the 14th that the Trump administration was allowed to continue to promote the plan to eliminate the Department of Education and lift the injunction, and nearly 1,400 employees were in danger of being fired. Education Minister Macron said he would move quickly and move on to transfer functions such as student loans and adult education to the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Labor. Trump stressed that the move was to return the power of education to the localities. Experts and groups are concerned that the move will weaken student rights protections and undermine federal student aid and civil rights law enforcement. News highlights: in the early morning of the 15th, there was a violent thunderstorm in Chi, which woke up a large number of people, and many people mistakenly thought it was an explosion or earthquake, describing it as a war. Netizens posted on the community to share their frightened experiences, and reported that many thunderstorms and even short-term power outages occurred. At the same time, the Water Resources Department of the Ministry of Economic Affairs issued a Level 2 flooding alert for the western district of Chi City, and the Meteorological Department also issued special reports for heavy rain in Chi City and County respectively, reminding the public to be cautious of lightning strikes and strong winds.